Today we'll hear from Dr. Aamir Jamal, whose talk is titled The Gatekeepers, Engaging Men in Gender Justice and Girls' Education in Northwest Pakistan and Afghanistan. I would like to start today's lecture with a treaty acknowledgement. The University of Alberta respectfully acknowledges that we are located in Amaskachewa-Skagin, which is situated on Treaty 6 territory. This land is the ancestral space of the Papas Chase Cree and Métis Nation and the traditional territory of Niitsitapi Blackfoot, Nehiyaw Cree, Dene, Stoney Nakoda, Anishinaabe, and many other Indigenous peoples whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. As a settler, I continue to reflect on what it means to live, work, and play on Treaty 6 territory, and am committed to growing my knowledge and understanding of these important histories and how I can honor the gifts of these lands. The Sustainability Council works with all faculties at our university to spark learning, discovery, and citizenship for sustainability. We offer courses and experiential learning opportunities for students, support sustainability-related research, and put on sustainability awareness events and engage with the broader community on sustainability initiatives. The lecture series is a bi-weekly event which highlights sustainability research, teaching, and innovation over a range of topics with the goal of generating conversation on sustainability across disciplines. We are hosting a diverse group of speakers from both the University of Alberta and beyond to cover a number of topical issues related to sustainability and sustainable development. Upcoming lecture topics include the stories that trees tell, an oil resistance story, and building equity in planning practice. Please follow the link in the chat to see all of the upcoming lecture series talks. I will include this link shortly. And to find out more about the Sustainability Council's events and opportunities, please feel free to browse our website and sign up for our newsletter. I will also include these links in the chat shortly. Now on to Dr. Jamal. Dr. Jamal is a multidisciplinary scholar and changemaker with a PhD in International Social Development from UCalgary, an MBA from Adelphi University, New York, and over 25 years of work in the development sector. Dr. Jamal's work is published in prestigious scholarly journals and presented at conferences and community events across the globe. He is a regular keynote speaker at academic conferences and community organizations and is frequently interviewed by national and international media outlets. He is most recognized for his book, The Gatekeepers, Engaging Pashtun Men for Gender Justice and Girls' Education in Pakistan. Dr. Jamal was recognized for his exceptional volunteer and professional activities by the City of Calgary. With the prestigious International Achievement Award in 2021, Arch Award for International Career Achievement in 2022, and Faculty Research Award in Sustainability in 2022. We will hold a Q&A session after Jamal's presentation, so please put your questions in the chat. And now let's please welcome Dr. Jamal.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this generous introduction. And now my technology skills, let's see how it helps me. I will share my slide with you. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Is it a slideshow? Is everything okay, Hussein?
Yes, we see your slides.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for this invitation. Sustainability department there in University of Alberta. I'm so pleased to be here. So my today's topic is the gatekeepers, engaging men in gender justice and girls' education in Northwest Pakistan. So let me take you about more than 10,000 miles away from here, from this cold Alberta, for a few moments to the border region of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Let's take a moment right now. And do you see this map, right? Afghanistan and Pakistan. And what comes in mind? If you like, you can write in chat. When you see this map, what comes in mind? What do you think of? What are those first words that you You can just have it in your mind. Right? Conflict zones. Okay, Muslim countries. Wars, conflicts, oppression, terrorists, right? All those different words comes in mind. So thank you, CNN and Fox News and all other news channels, right, for introducing this region only with these words and with these perceptions. But my friends, this afternoon, I'm taking you on a bit different journey about the region, a different one, to my village and my city on the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. And we call it which is called the beautiful Peshawar. So this is the Peshawar Valley. This is one of the oldest cities in South Asia, part of the Silk Road, and a gateway towards Indian subcontinent from Central Asia. So this valley has witnessed invasion and then retreat of many global powers, including UK, Soviet Union, and United States of America recently. But an obvious consequences of these wars are chronic underdevelopment and particularly oppression of women and children. It's an obvious outcomes of these wars and conflicts. But as I promised you, I'm not talking about extremism, not talking a lot about extremism and wars and conflicts. I want to take you on a different journey. And that journey is a beautiful story of a beautiful man. A different man was born. A school headmaster who stood for his daughters. He is my grandfather, my mother's father. Unlike the common practice, he said it clear and loud that my daughters will eat what my sons eat. They will dress as good as my sons. They will go to school as I'm sending my sons to school, right? The tribe resisted based on existing cultural norms. But this time, a man was on the side of his daughters. A Pashtun tribal elder was standing with women for their rights and gender justice. I recently called my uncle and he said, when dad will bring sweets at home, he will first ask his daughters to eat, then we will eat. But our mom was more on son's side that he just mentioned to me earlier. One man changed the world, not for his daughters, but for the whole community and the generations to come. I call him the gatekeeper. He was the gatekeeper of the social order. And he opened the gate for his daughter to get fresh air and seek light of education. No one dared to stop him. He loved his three daughters. My mom used to say that Daji, they will call Daji to his father. Daji loves his daughter more than his sons. That's what my mom said, my brothers would say always. So he was a different man then in the community. He challenged existing gender norms of the village. He stood for his daughter. And it changed the world for my mom, for other siblings, and for other girls in the village, for many girls in the village and the community. My mom would say to me when I was little, she will share all those beautiful stories of her struggles and her education, being the first girl going to school. The Daji will arrange a tanga, we call it tanga, a horse buggy for her. And there would be a kind of a cloth around this buggy, right? Just to to protect her, kind of a parda, we call it, for her, for protection. So no one will see her. No man will see her, right? When she is going to school. And he will arrange all that and encourage her throughout to go to school. So in those times, a miracle happened. It was a miracle in the village. A girl was able to complete her education. She was able to be the first graduate in the high school from that village. And she became a school teacher, becoming the first educated woman in the family and in the community. But she didn't stop there, and then taught to thousands of girls in the village in the border region of Pakistan for more than 25 years. My friends, as a child and then as a young man, I witnessed, through her I learned and witnessed the power of knowledge gained by women and the power and dignity of men when they stand with women for gender justice and education for their daughters. I also witnessed her struggles. She would be the first person to wake up in the morning making us all breakfast, those 4 tigers, breakfast, and then the last person to go to bed finishing her home chores. After breakfast, she'll be running to that horse buggy again as a teacher then, going early in the morning to her school to teach our students there. This is her picture, right? You can see it. She's standing with her bright, resilient students who probably won a sports or a tournament. So she became a role model for girls to grow. Mothers with her resilient, with all those brilliant and resilient students. She became a counselor, a healer for girls in the community. And I was witnessing, I sometimes would go to that mud and stone made school with one room, right? One room. So the little ones will be in that room. Other will be outside because there was no other room. They'll be under the trees and all that different corner of that place. And they would love her. I have so many stories which I mentioned in my book, that how those children will treat her and when they were grown up. My friends, as I mentioned, I'm sharing here my story. In the region of Pakistan and Afghanistan, on that border region, which I'm talking about, we were struggling with poverty. But there was some sort of contentment. There was hope. There was a gradual, natural process of development. We were developing in our own context. We were happy. We were negotiating with colonial history. There were struggles. There were poverty. There was lack of resources. But we were growing. We were developing in our own ways. I remember that in those early 80s. And before that, when our parents would tell us, there would be a gradual process of development in which, coming to women issue, women were enjoying their life in their own ways, right? You can see in the picture that event where women are, there is an event where they go there, like Eid. After Eid, there are events, various events. They go there, they enjoy, they will have their own women gatherings. Sometime my aunt will take me as a child, and I would, because only women were allowed there in those areas. So I will enjoy those festivals. And I've been to many festivals there. The number of school girls were increasing. And most importantly, religion was a source of healing, is a source of peace, is a source of spirituality, is a source of social justice. That was the role of religion that I remember as a child. And we were growing, we were evolving with all that. In our own indigenous ways, we were evolving. And our world got shattered in front of my eyes. As a young man, I witnessed both sides of the story. Our dreams were smashed. My mom's dreams of girls' education was smashed. War began. Russia invaded Afghanistan. And the proxy war of two superpowers in the region started, with the United States getting an active role to proxy war in the region. But war is not just killing. It's not just men fighting. With that war, the social fabric of the society was destroyed. The natural progress of social development not only stopped, but rejected. Girls were kept at home. Extremism was intentionally introduced in the region by global powers and Western world, because the Western world and the United States specifically wanted locals to fight. And for fight, they chose religion as a tool. So extremism was intentionally introduced and imposed in the region and enriched and supported by global powers. Extreme views of Islam were highlighted, were appreciated by the international community to fight back Russia. But at what cost? It's not just the fight back Russian. It destroyed my whole region, the social fabric of society. Girls' schools were banned because extremism is not just war. Then the society find extremism in everywhere, in every sector of the society. Girls' schools were either burned or became camps for military forces. I witnessed those years. I was in the city and in the town taking refugees, but I was with few good people, trying to support them as many as I can, as we can. But during all this war and conflicts, some in the community did not stop working. We didn't stop despite all these challenges. Some of us, men and women, tried to continue the good work, the legacy of my mom and many other peace-loving people in the region. In those, after a few years, I got a chance to do my PhD in University of Calgary. I was in the same context with the same questions. Why? How to break this vicious cycle of gender injustices? Why women are the first victim in wars, conflicts, patriarchy, all that? How to overcome barriers to girls' education despite all these wars and conflicts? How to bring the community on our side for social justice? We started through my work, listening to them, learning from the community, not imposing ideas, but asking them, going and meeting them as a learner. I found some secrets through the collective wisdom of the community. And let me be brief. I can share some with you today. One of the key wisdom that emerged is for gender justice, we need to engage the gatekeeper. Women-only approach is not enough unless there is a significant change in men's perception, attitude, and practice. Gender justice would be an uphill battle for all of us. You will be spending millions of dollars, but it won't help. Because gender justice is not just a socio-economic or cultural issue. It's also a religious issue in that context and a political issue in the regional context. Through my PhD research, and then afterwards, I'm still involved in various contexts, a change from within is critical. Listening to those indigenous voices is very important, and that we have to engage the gatekeeper. Now, the question is, how to engage men? How to engage the gatekeeper? Here is the gatekeeper from the region. I recently received this picture from a friend. How to constructively engage men in support of gender justice and girls' education. Through my research and this field experience of many years, I developed a model and documented in my book. It is now translated in Urdu language. It will be translated in Pashtun for Afghanistan. It's the first book published in this region on this, in which I brought together all this learning from the community. And but it's important, it's interesting to share that. The book is published and it's being used by the government and non-governmental organizations and various people around over there. But we did not stop after publishing the book. We started practicing it, which is important for us being in this field. We have applied this approach. I go every year in developing this critical dialogue in the region. We have a group of volunteers supporting the cause. We have established an organization, the Canadian Association for Children Education in Pakistan, in this northwest region that is working for gender justice and for children education. So we are engaging those men in facilitating a positive social change. It is possible to gain the trust of this community, but there is a secret to it. And we have been applying this secret with great success. We learned that first, you have to go there as a learner, not as a teacher, respectfully listening to their wisdom in their context and cultural values. Otherwise, they won't talk to you. Utilize those strategically important, historically established, and highly respected institutions of the community, of the Pashtun community, like Hujra and Jarga. We respectfully respond to religious and cultural sensitivities. I go and I meet with religious leaders. I meet with community leaders with utmost respect in their own context. Listen to them carefully, gaining their trust, gaining their love for the community. Then the community gain ownership and trust. We get those trust through those inclusive approaches. We also arrange seminars through this critical dialogue creating in different academic institutions in the region. One is, by the way, next month we have a conference in the region in Peshawar, and that is based on indigenous voices on gender justice and girl education, collecting those men who support gender justice, just like my grandfather. And it all works amazingly. It all works amazingly. We go to communities not as a teacher or NGO worker with decided agenda to impose. No. We don't do that. We go there as a learner, as a keen learner, with open mind, with a kind heart. We believe in the wisdom of those communities. We respect them. We value their voices, their thoughts, their solutions. Yes, they do have wisdom. Yes, they do have solutions on their issue. They know the best in their own indigenous ways. What are the solutions? Miracle happens when we do that. We use community institutions. We begin with the existing assets and role model of those beautiful men who already support their daughters. In each village, my friends, in each village or town I went for research or practice, I always found those men. I call them beautiful men of the community who support gender justice. Here is Mia Khan from Afghanistan. You see this guy on a bike, on a motorcycle, we call it, with his 3 daughters. A loving father of these beautiful daughters. Every day he's taking them to school in Afghanistan and bringing them back from school. And there are, you can Google him. There are some of his interviews are there also. He received some. And I also called Kabul when I heard about him to connect with him. We have discovered that nothing will work unless we respectfully engage the gatekeeper. This guy, Mia Khan, is the gatekeeper, but the beautiful one. Connecting with authentic Islamic values, not the extremist values which were imposed earlier on us, but coming from our own authentic Islamic values that support gender justice and girls' education, using existing credible community institutions, then the community will own it. Then it's not from somewhere else. Then they own it, they love it, they contribute in it with their wisdom and passion. Then they will say, we did it ourselves. And that is the success. That is the miracle in happening. Then the beautiful Baba, the gatekeeper, opened the gate for gender justice and take his daughter to school with love, with pride, and with trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jamal, for that beautiful and heartbreaking story. Now, if you would like to include your questions in the chat, we will address them at the Q&A right now. So someone here, I think it was Jasmine, had a question for you. When you hold these sessions for the gatekeepers in the community, what type of reaction do you get from the community, typically?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, so initial reaction or something, sometimes, it depends where you are going, right? You are going in a village, which is remote area, so it's a different reaction than in the urban areas, right? Or in the rural areas, it's a different one. Depends where you are. But generally, there are questions about the connection, because when you go there, because most of the work which we see there, mostly Western NGOs are in the region, right? And they've been there for a while. So I wrote about it. There is suspicion around that. So first of all, I need to clarify when I go that I'm not an NGO guy you are suspicious about. So first of all, we develop that like trust building. So mixed reactions I'm getting from them. But in most cases, I would say, when I bring the authentic religious context, when I bring the authentic cultural context and find and offer support for gender justice and girls' education from those lenses, so I often see a very positive response from men. And your question is, I'm recalling many stories that come, like I remember 3 men after my talk and a conversation, 3 men who were there from a very far region, which is called Gilgit Chatral, in that region, from which is a mountain area on the border of China and those regions. They were students there in that university. They came to me after the talk, and they just kind of came to me from all over. They say, we want to do something like this in our village. Can you help us? So it makes me emotional. I always, as I mentioned, in every village I go, there are some resistance, of course. Depends on the situation, what's going on politically in the region. But there is hope. There are beautiful men. I always found that. And my current research project is on those men, that what were their motivation factor and to engage them.
Thank you so much. Another question we had was, how did your personal experience seeing your grandfather champion for women's education inspire you to pursue this topic in your career?
Yeah, my inspiration is, my grandfather to some extent, but my mom, basically. Because as a child, I witnessed all her life. And as I mentioned, 2 things, right? One is this one educated girl and woman, this one woman brought so much change in the community. Today I'm sitting with you. Why? From all the region, like on the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan, because of that one woman, right? And no idea that how many girls, like I would say not hundreds, thousands, got inspired from her. So the power of education, I witnessed that. So it inspired me. And again, the dignity of men, as my grandfather, when standing for his daughters, to support her in girls' education and all that. So it also inspired me. But mainly, I would say my mom is my inspiration.
Thank you. Aisha had a question in the chat. Do you still see a lack of schools and access to education in villages? And what do you think are the solutions or alternatives to foster education in those places?
Big question, right? You need to probably some material, and the book will give you some detailed responses, which I articulated various concepts in that, right? So there are many things that we need to do, but I will probably be repeating it here. One key thing is that ownership of the community, not just building schools and roads and infrastructure. If fathers are not trusting are not confident to send their daughter to school, beautiful schools are not going to help. So we need to focus on, and I argue that we need to focus on the demand side, not the supply side. What I mean by demand side is to create the demand from within. When men are convinced that, because men, let's be very clear, it's still a patriarchy, right? And men has the power to let their daughters go to school or to stop them. So when men are engaged, when they are comfortable, so like Mia Khan from Afghanistan, they will do their efforts and taking their daughter to school on their bike or whatever it takes. So I articulated many, but one key thing is a change from within is stronger. It's sustainable. It goes long way. When the community says, think, perceive that this change has emerged from within, from me, not from somebody else. So then it is stronger. Then you will see, I know many men, when they realize that let me say this, in one region in Swat, they were burning schools, girls' schools, and Taliban and all those kind of stuff were going on. I don't want to repeat that, but when things were settled and fine, and I was there, and I got emotional when I saw that. It's like hilly area, and I said, what's going on there? There were a big line of girls in uniform going to school. Just like after a couple of days of all those wars and conflict, what was going on there? People said we got some obsession for girls' education. Every man, father want to, because they realized that how significant is girls' education and women's rights for the well-being of their communities.
Thank you. The next question is from Hannah. She asks, what do you think can be done for young boys who have grown up without seeing any gender equality or the participation of women in society?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's basically what we call it, and you know it, consciousness raising, right? This is what we are trying to accomplish. We are trying, and there are many, it's not just, there are many who are doing it, right? We are trying to accomplish. I don't want to repeat what I said earlier, but same way, we need to talk to them. We need to, it's all about education, right? And this understanding and telling them how beneficial it is that when there is gender justice and girls' education, and now I have a different route. I don't want to go to there. I'm now engaging. My two projects are for the region are engaging men in prevention of gender-based violence against women. And when those men who are not grown up in such a household, when they realize, they change. These are cultural norms, and cultural norms are not static. They are fluid. They change, and they will change.
Thank you very much. The next question is from Sabina. She said, thank you, Dr. Jamal, for the enlightening presentation. My question is, assuming that not all men would want to support gender justice, I would like to understand what kind of challenges you face to firstly encourage them to be a part of gender justice, and what is your approach if men don't support gender justice?
Yeah, challenges are, one thing that you would know about it. What is critical is not only for gender justice or for many other development issues, is what we need is peace. What we need is peace and security. When there are wars, conflicts, bombs, killings, who will pay attention to ideas of development? Because I'm now concerned about my life, right? So one major challenge that our team faced throughout in the region is this continued cycle of proxy wars, global powers engaging in proxy wars in the region. And these wars are not helping us, They are helping those who carries guns, because now book is not important in those kind of situations. Pen is not important in those kind of situations. Guns are important. And that's what we don't deal with. So major challenge that we face in the region is we need peace. We need peace in the region. We don't want wars. It's hurting everyone. And we can't move forward with continued war. So there's a major challenge. And then with this challenge, there are many other challenges. Then the girls' safety, security, patriarchy, then even religious values are used, right? and used and abused against gender justice practices. So that natural, when people are naturally evolved with ideas, that's not possible with wars and conflicts. We can try, but we need peace for that.
Thank you. Sabina also had another part to their question. They said, how do you really identify the gatekeepers? Keeping one thing in mind, which is supporting their daughters' education and girls' rights to education. Is there any other parameters you need to look into to term a man as a gatekeeper?
Yeah, like it's a very good question, and it's related to my current study, which is already started that study. And we have a criteria that who are the men, who are supporting gender justice. So sending girl to school is one criteria, one of those criteria, right? Men who are involved in gender justice initiatives, right? Men who are involved in initiatives of prevention of gender-based violence, right? So there is a big list of criteria. And sorry to mention it, it's kind of, but in the book, I have a full criteria developed. One for allies. Who are those men? So I developed a model for that. And then we are after those beautiful men. People are sometimes laugh at me. You are always after those beautiful men. So I am, and we have a criteria for that. But sending his daughter to school is one criteria. And then doing a lot more than that, there are many other criteria for that.
Thank you. The next question is from Aamir, sorry for the pronunciation. In the coming years, what do you envision for your research and community involvement of men as allies in girls' education and gender equality?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I mentioned right now, like I have these couple of research studies, and not just studies, but practice, informing our practice and working with the communities and that global engagement around that. And now it's not just this region. I'm moving to other regions, and I have colleagues like Dr. Lisa Lorenzetti and other colleagues that we have. We are going to different regions on this. So taking this model to different regions, and it's not just girls' education, as I mentioned. Now we are more into prevention of violence against women and engaging men in those countries. We have a research project which is now it's growing globally, right? With collaboration of different institutions and different community groups in South America, in Philippines, in Qatar, Turkey, in different regions. We are going and taking this key concept and engaging men in research and active practice, advocacy, legislations, all those different areas we are trying to cover.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Noor. They said, thank you so much for this presentation, Dr. Jamal. I was wondering, how can we help girls in Pakistan who come from families that value their marriage over having education?
Can I see the question? How can we help girls in Pakistan who come from families that value their marriage? Yeah, this is a significant cultural issue, and in this project, this is one of the major issues we are facing. That after grade 10 or grade 9, they say, okay, now we have a proposal and the girl will be married and all that. But what I'm saying, these issues are there. But what I'm hopeful that not only in urban region, but also I see when I'm going there, every year I'm going there, in the rural region, these perceptions are changing. Now I see you in some areas, in the urban areas, like in the universities, there are more than 60%, 70% girls then. So things are changing. Things are changing in a very slow and gradual way. But again, when we start growing positively, when the community is getting ideas and this consciousness raising and everything, there is war, there are conflicts, and then we go 2 steps back. So it's not helping. But with all that, yes, there are men, there are families who would say, like marriage comes first and all that. But there are the changes there. The change is there for sure. Initially, do you have time? Just a 30-second, just want to add a response to this one.
Yep.
Okay. So just for example, it was very funny. Earlier, like a couple of years ago, men, now this is a cycle. You can see this. Men would say, we are not going to marry an educated woman. Why? Because then she will argue with me. Because then she will have questions, right? So they would use a term, a local term, that she will get a tongue, like. So like she will be able to talk. And they say, oh no, it's a big issue. And so it was very common, kind of, men would say. So then fathers won't send their daughter for higher education, because then she won't, because fathers are interested that my daughter will be settled, right, with a family. This was a big issue. But recently, what I found in the villages, that when men realize, it's very important to know, when boys realize that an educated woman, an educated wife is such a blessing in various ways. She knows about many things. It's not just job or economy. A lot of more, that awareness, how she is helping, supporting the whole community, herself and everything. Now, what happened is that the boys are having an argument, kind of everyone is kind of having a pride. I have an educated wife. It like changed completely. So now you see the cycle. Now when those boys who are successful and they want an educated wife start. So now fathers are sending their daughter to schools and higher education. So things kind of changed. It's not all over, but I see that change coming. But we need a moment. We need a moment. Yeah.
So before we get to Rajneek's question, I just wanted to ask, where can we find your book, just for anyone who might have to leave this call a few minutes early?
Yeah, it's in 2 places. If I can write here. One is Amazon, right? On Amazon, you can find the book. Also, what they call it there, online copy. I don't know these names. You guys know about it, right? Those when you can read online. It's not PDF, but
like an ebook.
Ebook, yeah, ebook. Yeah. So you can find an ebook. If someone found it, you can just post it here. It's available on Amazon. And the other one is our organization. We have. You can also find it there. It's called educateachildinpakistan.org. Yeah, thank you, Aamir. Yeah. So over there, you can also find, and I dedicated all the revenues of this book for girls' education and gender justice in the region. The whole, yeah, all revenues. So
that's amazing. Okay, I just wanted to get back to Rajneek's question. They said, this is such incredible work, Dr. Jamal. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm wondering your perspective on language in all of this. In your work, do you use translators, or are you fluent in all languages in the regions you've worked in so far? What are your thoughts on the power of people entering these communities and using locally spoken languages to increase buy-in to making education more accessible?
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very important question. So language is critical. With language comes culture, right? So I'm lucky in that sense. And this is important to share that I know the language. I am Pashtun. I know the culture. And it's not just Pashtun, but other provinces and other basically regions of Pakistan who speaks different languages. So I know many of those languages and cultural context. It's so important to have that cultural context. It really, and I've been in the region and different social movements for a while. So I think I have that, I do have that trust of the community, which is very helpful. Having said that, let me clearly say it loud and clear that there were people who were not from the region. There were people who were from around the world, from Australia, from Canada, from US, from UK, and all those names are coming in my head. They were loved by the community. They were trusted by the community, because you know what? The community would understand your intention, if you say it or not. If you are foreign paid NGO or worker and just making money and going there in your big, beautiful car and those typical Western dress and just doing the job, community know what's going on. And when you are going there and getting to know the community, respecting them, loving them, your intentions are to bring a positive change, they would know about it. You don't need the language then. You don't need, you will get the language. You will quickly get the cultural understanding, because now you are going there as a learner, not as a teacher. You are going there to collect the pearls of wisdom they have, not to impose your ideas. So you are going like this with them. I'm here to learn from you. I'm here to support you and facilitate you the way you like to see. Whatever assets you have, then it's a different story. Then it's not about Aamir, it's not about someone from the region, anyone. But the key is your intentions, your approach, and your attitude.
Thank you. Another question is, can you tell us more about what you're doing in your research and what you have planned for the future?
I kind of briefly explained to it earlier, but like I have right now about 6-7 projects which are mainly on gender justice, and like one major is there are 2 global studies, right? One is on engaging men, transforming masculinities, and engaging men for gender justice and prevention of domestic or prevention of violence against women. So there's like one study, for example, I chose, there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are different regions of the world, but recently one I chose is specific to that Muslim majority nations. So there's one context. I also have South America and other regions, but this is just for example. So Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Qatar. So I'm going to Qatar and Turkey in these regions to collect the data on those men who are supporting gender justice, who are supporting initiative of prevention of violence against women, who are against beating their wife, right? So I'm those men. Why I'm doing this? Instead of just everybody kind of people sometimes would do like just finding out what's going. Why I'm doing it? Because I want to make these men as role models for other men. And I want to know why they are different. What are their motivating factors that I can collect and use it for other men who are not in line with this? So there's one key focus that I have. The other one is, which is also connected in some ways, is Canadian Muslim youth identity construction. Again, the gender piece comes over there as well. So these are some of research. If you want to read in detail about all my projects, again, it will be on the University of Calgary website. My profile would be there, so you can look into it. And please, my email would also be there, so you can get in touch with me anytime you like.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamal. I don't see any more questions, and it's nearly the end of our time. So I think we will go ahead and say that this is the end of the presentation. But thank you again so much for coming to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this opportunity, and thank you everyone here for your time today.